This is Poindexter G from To The Tabletop, and today we're taking a look at the Houdini fighter from the Unmatched games. Now, Houdini is from the set Houdini versus the Genie. Houdini is, of course, the famous magician slash escape artist. So this is one of the few real-life persons that has been depicted in Unmatched. We'll take a look at the character card here. Houdini is a melee fighter with a health of 14 and a move of 2. He has a sidekick, Bess. Bess is his assistant and is his wife. Bess is also melee and has a health of 5. Yes, that is correct. 5. That is tiny. We could take a look at his special ability now, which you can see is named. When you take the maneuver action and boost, you may place Houdini in any space instead of moving. Bess moves as normal. So basically, if you want to get Houdini out of a place and you're willing to boost with a card, instead of just adding the boost value of the card to that 2, say, boost 2, well, he can just pick up and go wherever he wants to go on the board. Bess will move like normal, so she will get the 2 move plus whatever the boost of the card is for her to be able to move. Now, Houdini is one of these fighters that their special ability doesn't really tell you what all of this character is about. And we'll go ahead and we'll pull up the cards here, and got these cards in a little bit different order than what I normally do, just so I can explain a few things easier. This is one of his cards that he has. This is Flourish, which is an any, so it can be played by Houdini or Bess. There are 4 copies of this, so this is something that they want to show up a lot. This is an attack of 3 with a boost of 2. During combat, you may boost this card. You're going to see that Houdini has a lot of options to boost. And the reason he has a lot of options to boost is because of this little thing right here. And you are like, okay, what on earth is that? That is something I have never seen. And this thing that you have never seen before is called a boost trick. And these boost tricks have a special set of rules for them here in the rule book. Some of Houdini's cards have boost bonuses, which is this thing right here. Whenever you use one of these cards to boost, whether as part of a maneuver action or as allowed by another card effect, you trigger the boost bonus effect. Resolve the effect immediately and place the card in your discard pile, then resolve the rest of the action as normal. These effects do not trigger when an opponent's effect uses your boost value, such as Genies. This is no parlor trick. So I want to clarify what this is talking about here. We're going to go ahead and grab the Genies. This is no parlor trick. And we can see here that the effect is the value of your opponent's card is equal to its boost value. So what the instruction book was talking about in regards to that is that this card is just referencing the boost value. Since it just references the boost value, Houdini is not boosting, and Houdini does not get the boost trick effect from that. However, if we were to look at cards from Sun Wukong's deck, Tortoise form and Ox form, you can see that this one, your opponent may boost their attack, and this one, if your opponent played a card, they may boost it. With these cards here, if Sun Wukong were to play these into Houdini, Houdini would be actually boosting his either attack or defense. And since he would be boosting that, he would be able to get a boost effect off of that. So go to our next card. That is going to be for my next trick. There are 2 copies of this, and you will recognize this from Bullseye's deck. This is an any with a boost of 2. An attack of 2. After combat, move one of your fighters up to 1 space. Draw 1 card, gain 1 action. So this kind of lets you just do a small little attack, draw a card, and gain an action. Sleight of hand. This is also a Houdini card. There are 2 copies of this. This is an attack of 1. It has a boost of 3. With the boost effect, draw 1 card. That is the same boost effect that Flourish has. Immediately, you may return this card to your hand and choose a different card to play. Resolve all effects on that card as normal. So you'll basically be able to just play that, and if it doesn't get canceled, and that's going to be the big thing there, if this is not canceled, you'll be able to just switch it out with another card. And that can let you see what their defense is and then decide if you wanted to actually play sleight of hand or do something else. An illusion of my own design. This is an attack of 4, just a boost of 1. Immediately, your opponent may boost their card. During combat, you may boost this card. Now, the nice thing about this is because the way this is worded here with your opponent being able to boost immediately, you get to see what they decide to do. So they can decide to boost their defense, but then you can boost your card based off of whatever it is they play. And it puts them in an unusual spot that they have to decide, do they want to try to boost their defense to... do they want to boost their defense? Because if they boost their defense, you may boost to go over that and get a boost effect off. And if they don't boost it, you may boost anyway and just make this 4 something really crazy. Big reveal. This is Houdini's big card. It's just an attack of 2, but there's a lot going on with it. Boost of 3. The big reveal, you may boost this card twice. So you get to boost it twice. Then after combat, return 1 card you boosted with to your hand. So this lets you boost twice, but return a card to your hand. And that can be really powerful there because you're basically just getting a free boost. You know, one of those cards is going to go away, but you can put one of them back in there so you can just drop something in that has a big boost value and get it back. Or you can use something for its boost effect and then get that back and be able to reuse that boost effect, or be able to play that card for its actual regular effect. So once again, that can be really powerful and really great. Vanishing Act, we're getting into some of our versatiles here. 3 copies of this, a value of 2 with a boost of 2. After combat, choose one of the fighters in the combat and move them up to 3 spaces. They may move through their opposing fighters. Being able to move your opponent through their opposing fighters is a pretty strong effect. We have a defense card here, the Grand Escape. A defense of 2, boost of 3. You may boost this card. Once again, boosting the defense here allows you to get that boost effect. If you won the combat, place your fighter in any space. So once again, being that this is during combat, you're going to already see what they've played and be able to decide if you want to try to boost over to get that so that you can place Houdini in any space. This is an any. This is a really strong card for a couple of reasons here. We're going to look at both of the ways that this could be played. So this is a 2-value defense with a boost of 2. The boost effect is Houdini recovers 2 health. So if you boost this just to maneuver or for boosting a card effect, Houdini recovers 2 health. That is pretty strong. The other part of this here is this card's effects cannot be canceled, which this is an after combat effect that can't be canceled. So that is pretty significant. If your fighter was defeated, set their health to 4 instead and place them in any space. This happens even if Houdini was defeated. Now you'll say that this sounds a lot like King Arthur's Holy Grail, which, if he's at below a certain health, he gets to just set his health to that point. This, however, is different, that if he was defeated, it sets you to a 4. So you want to play this when you think your fighter is about to die, whether that be Houdini or Bess, because it isn't any, and you could play it with either of them. So you've got that way to use it, which could potentially heal you up quite a bit. And this effect could potentially get you more health than the boost effect on it will get you. And so it's just card, just these boost effects give you different ways to use some of these cards. All right, going into some of Bess's cards here. And the beautiful Bess, a versatile of 3, boost value of 1. The boost value there is if it's your turn, gain 1 action. So you would only gain an action if you boost with this on your turn. If you use this card to boost a defense, something like Grand Escape, you wouldn't be able to get that because it wouldn't be your turn. And so this isn't something you would want to ever boost Grand Escape with because, you know, it's only 1 value, so you're not adding much to it. The effect on it here, you'll see, is not anything that happens during combat. If you discard this card as a result of an opponent's effect, draw 1 card. So if you have to discard a card, you could get 1 back. As you can see, there's not a lot of compelling reasons to play this with Bess. I mean, a 3-value blank attack is not going to be that great, and a 3-value blank defense is not going to be that great. You probably want to do this to boost a maneuver, gain an action, move up to someone with Houdini, or use this to boost an attack and gain another action to be able to go after them. So this card here, the beautiful Bess, really is best when not played by Bess. Set the Stage. This is another really great card here. This is a scheme. It's a Bess card. The effect here, the boost effect, is a boost value 2. Look at your opponent's hand and choose a card for them to discard. That is really strong, and while this is a Bess card, if Houdini uses it to boost one of his cards, he gets that effect anyway. So being able to look at your opponent's hand and pull a card out is pretty crazy. And you got to think you've got things like the Grand Reveal, which would let you boost with this, then you could put it back into your hand and get an additional time to be able to pull a card out of their hand. So you could use it a lot that way. The actual effect on it is draw 3 cards to put a card in your hand on top of your deck, which could be a pretty good effect if you needed cards in hand, as it lets you draw 3 and put 1 back in there. It doesn't have to be one of the 3 you drew. It could be any card in your hand put back on top. But really, we see again, these are all of Bess's cards, and Bess's cards are kind of best used for that boost effect. These boost effects are really better than anything that she actually has, and that's kind of a strange situation that it puts Bess in. Smoke and Mirrors, 2 copies, a versatile of 3 with a boost of 1. This is an any. Houdini and Bess may swap spaces. If they do, your other fighter is now in the combat. So this just switches them out. Now you could use this as an attack. You could use this if Bess was up next to someone to attack, switch in Houdini, then have him adjacent to be able to use some of his cards on there. Or you could use it as an attack to get Houdini away and switch Bess in. As a defense, this can be really good in that it can let you switch in Bess if you think Houdini's going to take a big hit. You can just switch her in, and then she takes the hit, and Houdini will just leave his poor wife up there to take all of that. It's starting to look like Bess is kind of best used for her cards to be boosted and to be kind of a meat shield for her husband. Misdirection. There are 3 copies of this. This is basically faint, but it's not faint because it has a boost effect added to it. Versatile of 2, it's an any with a boost of 1. The boost effect is deal 2 damage to any fighter, and of course the immediate effect is cancel all effects on your opponent's card. So you can deal 2 damage to any fighter, and you can use that as like boosting a maneuver, or and you could use that anyway, and that's just damage that goes into them that they can't do anything about. It's just auto damage that they take. And once again, you could reuse some of these a couple of times with the big reveal, or use this on big reveal to get it back in your hand so you don't lose your feint or what is in your hand instead of feint. You do have to take into consideration that playing this as a boost with the big reveal and putting it back in your hand does let your opponent know that you have misdirection in your hand and that you can use that again. So do keep that in mind. And finally, this last card here, which is a Houdini card. There is one copy of this, and the reason I put this last is because this is a very unique card. So a Houdini scheme with a boost of 4, so it has a big boost value. The actual effect, if you were to play this, would be draw 2 cards, gain 1 action. So it just gives you cards in your hand and you get an action back. So that could be pretty powerful. The bottom of this is what is interesting, because this is doing something that we have not ever seen in Unmatched yet. If an effect would let an opponent look at your hand, you may reveal this card and cancel that effect. So if someone is going to go look at your hand, you can pull this out and just show them that and be like, nope, not gonna do it. Which is pretty wild. We haven't had anything that has an effect like that, where if you, an effect that is if you don't play it, that's very much like Bess's card here, that if you discard this card as a result of an opponent's effect, draw 1 card. Both of these have effects that kick in if you don't play it. I mean, not playing it as a scheme or in combat, just like when someone else looks at it. Now, and the first thing that pops into your mind when you see this card is, oh man, Sherlock is going to roll up here and he's going to try to pull things out of my hand, and I'm going to be like, not today, Sherlock. Ha ha. Well, you might think that, but there is one problem with that. If we were to pull out Sherlock's character card here, effects on Holmes and Dr. Watson cards cannot be canceled by an opponent. So you can't cancel an effect on a Sherlock Holmes card. So this has no power against Sherlock, except on the one card that lets him look at your hand that is an any. The other cards that let him look at your hand are Holmes cards, and so those effects are just gonna go off. That's really sad, because you really want to be able to have something that is a counter to Sherlock's ability, and this unfortunately doesn't do it. Now, thematically, if there is anyone that would be able to figure out how Houdini is doing the things that Houdini is doing, well, it would be Sherlock Holmes. We have got crazy things going on here. Let's take a look at all of these boost trick effects. So the first thing that is interesting is that none of the Houdini cards have a boost trick effect on them. It is just the best cards and some of the innies, and not even all of the innies. We can see that Flourish and Sleight of Hand both have draw a card as the effects. That basically gives you 6 cards that can be boosted that draw a card. The Houdini recovers 2 health is very powerful. The deal 2 damage is really powerful as well, because that's just scheme damage that they can't do anything about. If it's your turn, gain an action can be pretty powerful. And look at your opponent's hand and choose a card for them to discard. I would say that this is the most powerful of all of the boost tricks. So you've got 6 of them, which are just draw a card and pretty basic. The deal damage, the heal, and gain an action can all be really very powerful and set the stage. With the look at the hand to pull a card for them to discard can be extremely powerful. So Houdini can really do a lot of different things, and do a lot of different things a lot of different ways, depending on how you want to use him. So if you found this video interesting, you could give it a thumbs up and a like. You could go down into the comments section and leave any thoughts or questions you have down there. And you can also go to my channel and take a look at it and subscribe to make sure that you don't miss anything that I post and catch everything. I'm Poindexter G, and we'll see you around next time.